guys, welcome back to BoreDraw, and today we got a nice little video for you. We've got a Premier League January transfer tier list ranking, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be here ranking all the Premier League teams' transfer activity in the January window.
Been a big window, mate. Been a huge window.
It has and it hasn't. I'm undecided whether it was a good window or not because I feel like 90% of the teams didn't really make any sort of
I feel like in
progress.
like a footballing sense, yeah, not many teams have like strengthened in a way that will help them footballing wise. But the window as a whole and like the market right now is fucked. And I think if there was ever a window to kind of highlight how fucked the market is, it's this window.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Uh, it, it,
It's grim.
there have been some big movements, and there's been a few big outgoings. There wasn't the real transfer drama that I love usually, but and maybe it's just because of me as a QPR fan, we did fuck all this window.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm deading it up a bit. But we'll get into it. We're going to be going from bottom of the Premier League all the way to the current number one spot. That
And we've
is
got a sexy little
Arsenal.
tier list as well.
And
Come
we
on.
got a little tier list that'll be on the screen as well. So get involved. Starting us off in 20th place, we have Southampton, Nathan Jones, Southampton. Do you want to take the reins?
I think so. We said this in the summer that they've kind of like reshaped their kind of footballing philosophy and like sporting identity in terms of what they're doing. They're getting in just young, hungry kind of academy prospects from different teams, and like you've seen with the what is it, Lavia that they signed from Southampton,
Mm-hmm.
not from Southampton, from Man
Man
City,
United.
Bazunu,
Man City, that's it.
um, Adozi. So they've got loads of like academy prospects that are all probably at academies where they can't see themselves getting into the first team that they're at. So Southampton have nabbed these ballers and will play them, let their transfer value skyrocket, and then probably ship them on down the line, which has been Southampton's model for years, obviously, with the likes of like Theo Walcott, Gareth Bale, all these man. That is their thing, but now they're doing it kind of in a different way, I think.
It's a bit more, yeah, a bit more, I don't know, exotic maybe. They're going for
Exotic, come
like,
on.
yeah, I don't know. I like what they've done in the sort of the summer transfer window. It hasn't really worked so far. They're still
Yeah,
relying on the likes of James Ward-Prowse to bail them out of this situation. But they do have good players, young
yeah.
players, and like you say, yeah, it is a sort of change of philosophy. However, I think it was their first signing of the January transfer window, Mislav Orsic. Quite a big fan of that, and for 6 million as well,
Big time.
it looks
I
like a
think
bit of a
in the
bargain.
summer they signed well, not too many. You can never have too many young, hungry players, but they didn't have anyone that kind of would come straight into their first team and make like an impact. And I think that's why they started falling down the table. But I
Oh
think
yeah,
in this
definitely.
window, what they've done is sign quite a few players, like you said, Orsic, Paul Owenachu, who is a striker from Genk, who's been
Yeah,
getting lots of goals in the Belgian league.
yeah,
So I think,
16 goals in 19 games this season, and
yeah,
he's 6 foot
quality.
seven as well.
Yeah,
So
he's
James
fucking
Ward-Prowse is going to be
lanky,
having a
mate.
field day delivering balls to
Exactly
him.
that. So I think what they've done in this window is kind of directly, um, not the opposite, but kind of just to balance out what they did
Yeah,
in the summer. They've got more first teamers now, and so I'd say they've had a pretty good window. I don't want to rank them too highly because I don't think there's anyone in there that's like standout banger. But for what they need, they're in a relegation battle. They need first teamers that are going to get them up the table. I think they've done quite well.
yeah. They also signed James Bree in from Luton,
Cheesy
which
guy.
is yeah, like it's a someone who Nathan Jones knows well, and coverage at that right back role. Not a bad little window for them. Where we go? We go nothing special.
So our tiers are big dub for the team
Top
that have
points.
had the absolute banger of all bangers, and then second tier down, we've got decent work. You've had a decent window. You haven't gone backwards. You haven't stagnated. You've put in decent work. And then middle of the road, we've got nothing special. That's where we're going to slap everyone that's had nothing to write home about kind of window. Then just below that, you've gone backwards, I'd say. You haven't stagnated, you've actually gone backwards. This window has been bad. And that's dead window. And then right at the bottom, absolute shambles of a window. Shambles.
Big shambles. Southampton for me are
Decent
right on
work.
the cusp of decent work
Yeah.
and nothing special. I think it is decent work.
Yeah, I'd give them decent work.
I think it is decent work, and I think they've done well to keep hold of the likes of James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah,
Who
100%.
I think there would be clubs sniffing around him. But yeah, so yeah, we'll whack him in. Southampton, decent work in this window.
Well done.
Moving on, next we have a team in dire straits in
Oh, I was going to
Everton.
say, from one end of the tier list, very good window, to pretty much slap bang the bottom end of the tier list,
I
Everton.
before we even discuss him, let's just get him in shambles.
Honestly, the only good thing they've done is get Sean Dyche in. And
Well, I think and managed to get 45 million for Anthony Gordon. That's
that's true. That's
that's
true.
magic. That is.
That is true because he is a 20 mil player max. But yeah, for them to be in a relegation battle, hello, mate. For them to be in a relegation battle and not get anyone in, that's fucked.
Do
And
you think
yeah,
their lack of transfer window activity? I know they haven't got the most money to spend,
mm,
but do you think that stems from them not knowing who was going to be in charge come the end of the window? Because they only just appointed Deitch, like, was it a couple of days before the window closed?
yeah,
They, they didn't know whether it was him or Bielsa. Would they have been better off sacking Lampard, end of December and giving the manager a window to work with? They they lost Anthony Gordon. They got 45 million for him. I think they
he
got
said in his
turned down.
statement, he was like, I hope they can reinvest this into the squad. And
Yeah.
then the next day later, what do? They put in a 40 mil bid for Conor Gallagher that got turned down. And then they didn't have any more time to do anything else.
Yeah, and they done well in keeping like the likes of Onana. I think there were a lot of clubs sniffing around him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Rondon went to River Plate on a free transfer as well. He never really kicked on there. It's just been a very dead window, and they needed reinforcements.
Big time. Especially
However,
with the
they are.
fan base in absolute
Oh,
turmoil, everyone just like fuming. You'd think a couple of strong transfers to kind of ease the fans and kind of show the fans that you're backing Sean Dyche would have been nice, but to get no one,
yeah,
big L.
it's a big fat L. It's shambles. But
Yeah.
I think the only shining light from this situation is that they have a decent squad. Like you look at other squads in the Premier League, they don't have a poor squad at all.
Yeah, they shouldn't be in a relegation battle.
They've got the
100%.
England number one goalkeeper. They've got the likes of Damari Gray, who's a great talent. They've got Calvert Lewin, who was in the England fold
Yeah.
not too long ago. They've got a good squad. Nathan Patterson's a decent right wing back.
Yeah, Connor Cody and
Um,
Tarkowski, seasoned Premier League centre backs.
and they've got a manager in Deitch who is good at working with not a lot.
Yeah.
And so maybe that is what they're hoping and holding on for. Maybe they're thinking we might go down. We've got a manager in Deitch who can probably get us back up again.
Yeah,
We've
true.
got enough in the tank in terms of the squad that they'll keep after if they do go down. That then we rebuild again. But yeah, it's going to be a tough end to the season for Everton.
Yeah,
But
this window's been a fucking shambles for them.
I
Hate
think
to
they got
say
a
it.
lot of people on the side because a lot of people like Sean Dyche,
Yeah,
myself
big
included.
time.
Big fan of Dyche. But yeah, Everton, you're in shambles. Do better next time.
Big time,
Up
big time.
next is an interesting one. We've got Bournemouth. We've got Bournemouth who
New money, Bournemouth.
I mean, it was weird. I'm looking at them and they're being linked with players that just I would never ever expect to be linked with. I thought they're just very like
Zaniolo, as an Italian talent, is like he was touted to go on to like I don't know Real Madrid and the likes. He's a football manager, one of those players that will turn into like a 5-star every single time. The fact that he's being linked with moves away from Roma to Bournemouth, relegation struggling Bournemouth, shows you kind of what shape every other league is in and also what shape the Prem is in. It is a bit of a super league and it's a bit grim.
well, I think I saw was it four the Premier spent like 400 million this window
Chelsea
and
have
La
spent
Liga
more than like literally every other league combined.
I think yeah La Liga spent 20 million.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Like it's mental. But yeah, they bought in Dango Otara from Lorient. the one who's catching my eye a little bit is Antoine Semenyo from Bristol City. I think he could be like a naughty little addition up top for them.
He's the one that I think he play. No, he didn't. Who's the one that got the assist in the last Prem game? He looked really good. Started out on the wing. It might be Utara. I think it was Utara. Dango Utara. He started on the other wing because they've got who's their left winger that's quite good, and they always use fucking hell. His brother played Tavernier, so they got Tavernier on
Oh
one
yeah,
side, and they didn't have anyone on the other side. But this Utara geezer is started on the right hand side, and he actually looks really good. So yeah, I think as far as their business goes, yeah, I'd be happy with it. I'd say.
yeah. They've looked abroad, and yeah, and I think I think they still will struggle to stay up this season. And
Yeah, same. But I don't think their squad was ever built to survive in the Prem anyway.
yeah,
They'd have to do a Nottingham Forest and like rebuild the entire squad for them to even be in with a shout of staying in the Prem. I think a lot, like I'd say, like 75% of their players aren't Prem players anyway.
but yeah, you're looking at 20 million for Utara. I think it was 10.5 million for Semenyo. So they are spending a little bit of money, but are these players who, if they do go down, would stick around? Probably. But yeah, they loaned out Sariki Dembele and Jamal Lowe, so that's a bit of cover gone for them in the sort of the wide fronts. But this squad does have enough about it to stay up, especially with how other teams around them performing. Will they though? I struggle to see it.
Yeah, I'm not sold on them staying up, but I think that isn't as a result of the window. I think their window's been decent. I just think, like I said, the squad was never really good enough to stay in the Premier. I think that kind of purple patch where Gary O'Neill is it Gary O'Neill? Gary O'Neill
Mhm.
first came into the role, and they got quite a lot of it. I think that kind of papered over a lot of cracks and kind of I think gave a lot of people like false hope in thinking, oh yeah, maybe we'll stay in the league. But I think it was just a bit of a purple patch, and
Are we saying nothing special for Bournemouth?
I'd say nothing special.
They got Zaniolo over the line. It might have been decent work,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
yeah. Right, moving on to another team. We've got Wolves in 17th position. Wolves. They had a pretty busy transfer window. João Gomez from Flamengo,
Yeah.
Mario Lemina from
Taste
Nice,
couple of
Sarabia from
tasty centre mids. Yeah.
PSG.
Sarabia, I think, is a good one. That's the. Do you remember a couple of days ago? Oh no, on the last pod, I said I beefed a Wolves fan on Twitter. It stemmed from a Pablo Sarabia conversation, but I think Pablo Sarabia is a really good signing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a brilliant sign, especially for that value, 4.4 million. Craig Dawson in from West Ham,
Prem 30, Prem proven, yeah.
cover maybe.
Cover, yeah, because they got quite a nice little centre back pairing in uh what's the geezer? Nathan Collins and Max Kilman.
Max
There you go.
Kilman.
It took me a
Okay.
while, but that is a nice pairing. They're both young, very talented centre backs, both big, both play on the ball quite well. And to have Craig Dawson, like you said, as cover, and if they want to shift to a three at the back, he's quite a good option to have.
And then Mateus Cunha on loan from Atletico Madrid.
I think so. I think at the surface level, that is a good signing, but I don't know if it's what they needed. So Wolves, we've said this plenty of times. Their main issue is that they need goals. They are quite good defensively. They never really ship too many, but they genuinely never score more than one goal a game. And I don't like. I like Mateus Cunha, but I don't know if he's like the striker they needed. I think they needed like Southampton signing Onuachu. Why didn't they get someone like that that is just
Yeah,
a big target man? Because Cunha, for me, isn't a number nine. I think I'd play him on the wings, and so they still haven't really got a decent down the middle big
I don't know
target
whether
man.
they're still holding on for Jimenez to come back into form,
Yeah,
like
maybe.
regain what he was before his injury, or I don't know, Diego Costa.
Yeah,
What's that about? Really, that's not really worked out, has it? They let Fabio Silva go out on loan to PSV. He
he's
was
doing all right
sort
as
of
well.
filling that role from some time to time, but like you say, he's not really an out and out number nine. So yeah, but I do think Lopetegui has the team that they've always had a good squad. Like their
Yeah,
midfield is insane.
yeah, they're like Everton in the sense that their squad is too good to be in the relegation battle. So
Hundred
they
percent.
probably didn't need to strengthen majorly, but done quite well in terms of depth in certain areas. I think Lamina, he's been in the Prem before with Southampton, so that's a good signing. Craig Dawson, like we said, is Prem proven. Sarabia has played at the top level for loads of years now, so that's another good signing. But I
Are we
think it all just
saying?
comes down to are they getting enough goals? And I don't really know.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, I would say this window's nothing special.
Yeah, I agree. For me, if they get a big sign up, like Danny Ings, I know he went to West Ham. Why didn't Wolves come in for Danny Ings?
Who knows? Who knows?
Just goals. You need Prem proven goals. And I like Cunha, but he's not Prem proven goals for me. So yeah, nothing special, I'd say.
Speaking of Danny Ings, the next team on our list is West Ham. Sort of their main signing this summer, West Ham, this winter even, this January transfer window. That's the one. But yeah, quite a quiet window for them. A lot of outgoings in terms of like lesser known personnel. The only
Yeah.
real
Do you think maybe they
unknown one
splashed all their cash in the summer on like Paquetá and Skamaka?
potentially. It's weird though. They spent quite a lot of money on Paquetá and Skamaka. Paquetá's done all right. Skamaka's struggled really to pick up any sort of form. I know he's had a few injuries and that.
Yeah.
They don't really know their best starting 11. I don't think. Done well this window as well to keep hold of Declan Rice.
Yeah.
He'll be gone though in the summer.
100%.
And Danny Ings is it's a good signing. It is a good signing, and I think it could work quite well in a Moyes system. But their team is very bland for me. Like
Yeah.
those
I
wing back
think
positions, it's
they
not really
needed
it.
something to kind of reignite their season. And maybe Danny Ings is it, but him coming in and getting immediately injured doesn't help. So I think you can't say they've done anything more than nothing special. You could argue they've actually gone backwards.
Yeah, I would. I think we'll keep this one short and sweet. I think West Ham bit of a dead window.
Yeah, I agree. Dead window actually sums them up perfectly.
Yeah, nothing special. And have they gone forwards? I wouldn't say so. Have they gone
Nah.
backwards? Up next, we have Leeds United, who quite a spenny window. Jorginho Rudiger
They
from
get. I
Hoffenheim,
don't. Who are
36
their
million.
owners? Because genuinely, I haven't heard anything about them getting like massive owners or whatever. But they always seem to spend quite well every window.
Most notable one for me is Weston McKennie.
Yeah, crazy, crazy.
On loan initially from Juventus. I do believe that is with a option to buy in the summer.
Is it? I didn't know it had an option to buy, but
I
that's
think it
crazy.
is.
Jesse
Um,
Marsh building like a little American contingent.
yeah, that's what I don't know though. Is like he's signing all these American man, but is it just like it just seems a bit cliche
I think
almost?
Weston McKennie is a decent player, and
He is a good player.
I think their window is good. I think Rutter's a good signing. Like we said, McKennie's decent.
Max
So I don't
Wober
know.
as well from the Red Bull
Yeah, from
franchise.
Salzburg. Yeah, so I think it's a decent window. I don't think they needed like desperately in any area. I think they have a pretty all-round decent team. Maybe like in defence, you could argue is where they needed some reinforcements and haven't really got any defensive reinforcements in that are like of note. This dog.
This
Um,
dog man.
but yeah, I'd say it's an all right window. And for depth, if you're looking for depth in areas, I think Rutter as a winger is quality, and depth in midfield. McKennie's played Champions League football. That's a very decent move, I'd say.
Yeah, no, for me, doesn't do enough to get into decent work, but they're in the nothing special bracket
Yeah, I'd back
for
that.
me. Who do we have next? Who do we have next? We got Leicester City, who, yeah, I mean, left it a bit late with what I would say is their best signing, Harry Suter, who
Yeah,
impressed quite a lot in the World Cup, and if you know him from the Championship, he's a really good defender.
they're a massive
Obviously, it's a
unit, isn't
big,
he?
yeah, it's a bit of a step up for to go to the Premier League,
Is he the next
especially
Harry
the qual.
Max? Do you think?
Who knows? Who knows? But he's big. He gets his head on things. I
Yeah,
think it's a solid addition. I think they were waiting for Soyuncu to go to Atletico Madrid. I don't think that materialized in the end. Um, but they also got Mateus Tete in on loan from Shakhtar.
which is good because for me, where they've been struggling is in the wide areas. They've got Harvey Barnes, But on the right wing, they've never really had a decent right winger. They've had Albrighton, but he's past it now, and I think they loaned him out.
West Brom,
Um,
yep.
and so normally they just play James Maddison out there, which is not his best position anyway. So you're kind of putting him in a shit position just to cover this right wing area. So I think Mateus Tete playing him out there will be great for what Brendan Rodgers wants to do, which to have like wide players that are very direct. And Harvey Barnes and Tete, that is decent wing players. So yeah, and then like you said, Harry Souttar on deadline day. I think if they didn't sign Harry Souttar, this is a dead window. But
I
Harry
agree.
Souttar makes it average.
Average, bang into the nothing special for me.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, moving on to their close neighbours in Nottingham Forest, and I'm surprised these men had any gas in the tank to go again in this window because they were busy last window,
Mate,
but they
their
were
owner
they were
is
very busy
crazy.
again.
Their owner is crazy.
So they've got two proven players in the likes of John Joe Shelby and Chris Wood. I actually quite like that. I've always quite liked John Joe Shelby.
Yeah, I think Shelby's a quality signing. And I think Chris Wood, what he does is he offers you like a completely different option than Awaniyi.
Hmm.
Awaniyi and sometimes they play Brennan Johnson up top. A very kind of like get the ball to their feet and work the ball up, whereas Chris Wood gives you that long ball option. So that's
Yeah.
nice. And
Obviously
like you said, Prem
Henderson's their
proven.
number one. Yeah, Henderson's their number one. But they
Not
brought
for
in
long.
Keylor Navas on
Yeah,
loan from PSG, which is
that's crazy.
yeah. I
How's
mean,
my guy like a triple Champions League winner and he's like, yeah, fucking, I'll go play for Nottingham Forest in a relegation
be
battle.
their number two. I
Yeah,
can't see him. I
crazy.
can't see him taking that top spot from Dean Henderson, but who knows? They got Felipe from Atletico Madrid, Danilo from Palmeiras.
Danilo from
Which
Palmeiras, I think, is a good signing. He was linked with Arsenal for a while when we were looking
mm,
for a backup DM, and he was kind of touted as the next kind of big Brazilian export. But then we kind of, I think our project has moved on a lot quicker than everyone expected. So we're now looking at like Declan Rice and stuff. Whereas I think if our project was going at its expected pace, we probably would have been looking at Danilo as an option. So I think for them to get him is, yeah, a decent move from what I've read about him.
I think the word decent sums it up. I think they've done better
Yeah.
than nothing special. I think
Yeah,
from
I
what
agree.
from them, that's decent work. That's decent work. I'm gonna whack them in that tier.
Yeah, nice, nice.
Um, right. Let's look at our 12th place team. We have Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace left it late. I don't think
Left
they
it
signed
real
anyone
late. Yeah, they
till
could have been right at the bottom, mate.
yeah. Butland went out quite early on loan to Man United,
Yeah.
and then they loaned out Malcolm Aboy to Hull, someone who I would love to have at QPR.
And then were both their incomings on deadline day? I know Lukonga was, but
Yeah, and
was
Armada was
Amada?
like finalized about midway through the day. I was watching
Yeah, so that's crazy. Yeah,
HLTCO's
they could have literally
timeline.
been rock bottom of the tier list if it wasn't for deadline day. But yeah, I think Lukonga, what he brings on the ball, he's quality. But what he kind of got found out a bit when he was playing for Arsenal is that I don't think he's like quite ready for the physicality of the Prem yet. And I think that's one because obviously he's still very new and young, but two because he hasn't been given like many minutes. Anytime he comes in, it's for like a 20-minute cameo or for like his first game, and then he won't play again for like another 2 or 3 games. So he's not really got that consistent run. So I think what Crystal Palace will allow him to do is get that run of games. He can kind of get used to the Prem a bit more and hopefully build his confidence, which will be good.
Yeah, I agree. From what I've watched the Palace this season, they struggle in the center of the pitch a lot to control the game or sort of generate any chances that stem from their play in the center. I think they've relied heavily on Doucouré to do a lot of the defensive work
Oh yeah, 100%.
as well as picking a lot of forward passes. So I think bringing in the likes of Lokonga and Amada will help sort of ease that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, for me, it's a nothing special window. They have the assets there to be a really good team.
Yeah, it's weird that it
I'm not
hasn't
talking like
clicked.
top six challengers, but comfortably mid table,
Yeah,
maybe pushing on for that like conference league spot. But yeah, for me, it's a decent window for them.
I'll give him
Potentially could have
decent.
looked to do something
Yeah,
towards the top end of the pitch. The likes of Mateta and Edouard haven't really kicked on. But
yeah,
yeah, I
I'd
don't
give
know.
him decent.
I
Actually,
think
what's the middle one again?
nothing special.
Yeah, I'll give him nothing special.
Nothing special for me as well. Who have we got? We got Unai Emery's good evening, guys. Aston
Come
Villa.
on.
Some, well, I'll say noticeable exports in Danny Ings, likes of
Yeah.
Cameron Archer going back out on loan. Aaron Ramsey, I think they recalled him from Norwich and loaned him out to Middlesbrough.
Oh,
So
did they? Okay, yeah, fair.
yeah, they've actually Middlesbrough now got Archer and Ramsey, who are two great players that I would have loved to have at QPR. But their noticeable signings: Alex Moreno,
So that
who
new
Unai
left
Emery
back,
said,
yeah.
yeah, was one of the best left backs in La Liga over the past few
Interesting.
seasons.
He has, from what I've seen in his like first few games for Aston Villa, has seemed to take to the Prem quite well. So I think that's a good move. It's interesting though that they signed Digne, who was like beyond like the top six. He was like one of the best Premier League left backs, and I don't know. It's weird that he hasn't. He's completely fallen out of favour with Unai Emery, and that they've felt the need to go and get a new left back. And I don't know anything about John Duran from Chicago Fire, but
Yeah, from what
average
I
window,
know, I think
pretty bad.
he's scoring goals in the MLS. I think he's got 8 goals in 27, 28 appearances. But 18 million seems quite a lot for a young player. But is it
Yeah,
in today's market?
yeah. We'll get
They
on to what some of the transfer values are. They're fucked, but
they bought in the likes of Danny Ings. It didn't really work out for him. He's moved
yeah,
on. So they've only really spent 6 million on John Duran if you're looking at it for a swap sort of there. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, they lack that goal scorer, and we're seeing this with a lot of the mid-table, lower-table sides. They're lacking that. They can create the chances. They've got all the creativity in the midfield in the wide areas, and they're really struggling to put the ball in the back of the net. And it seems like an
yeah.
obvious thing to say, but number nines don't come around plentifully. That's why when they do come
That's why
around,
they
they
were
they
so
go
much.
to
Yeah.
the top clubs. Yeah, and they're hard to get. For
I'd
me,
say
this is
what's
a
the
bit of a
one
dead
before?
window.
Yeah, I'd say dead window, the one below the middle one. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't really done anything to impress me. However, they do look much better under Unai Emery, and they're sat in
I was
11th
gonna
place in
say
the table.
maybe if they hadn't looked quite good under him, they would have done more. But maybe he's come in and said, "Get me that left back that I need. Get me like one extra player in John Duran, and I'm happy with this squad." Maybe that's what he's felt, and that's fair
Well,
enough.
maybe I mean, their position on the table is pretty safe. I don't see them getting dragged back into the relegation fight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See out the season, see what you're working with, and then he's got a whole
Go again.
preseason
Yeah.
to work with the team and actually bring in a few more players that he would like. But we say this, so we're putting Villa in
The
dead
one
window, yeah,
below the middle, dead window.
yeah. So they're only literally 1 point behind the next team, who are the biggest spenders in world football at the minute. We got bloody
Yeah.
Chelsea, mate.
I actually don't
Oh
even want to
my
talk to them. We should
god.
have had a whole separate section just for Chelsea.
Let me just read out their incomings, right? Enzo Fernandez, done literally, I think it was done this morning. It wasn't even done before the deadline. 107 million. Mikhailo Mudryk, 88 million. Nkunku, 63 million. Badashile, 35 million. Malo Gusto, 26.3 million. Madueke?
Maduke.
Maduki? Madueke, 26 million. Andre Santos, 18 million. Fofana, 8 million. And Joao Felix on that, was it 11 million loan at 8
Yeah,
million?
fucked amount alone, yeah.
Yeah. The only outgoing is Jorginho to Arsenal for 12 million.
This club,
Mate,
man, as we said earlier, so they've spent more in this window than pretty much every other league combined. And for me, on paper, yes, there's good players there. I think everyone and their nan, apart from Chelsea fans, can admit Enzo Fernandez isn't £100 million player. Yeah, I could. I guarantee 90% of Chelsea fans didn't even know who he was prior to the World Cup. So for them to, and the same could be said for Mikhailo Mudryk. I can imagine prior to the links between Arsenal and Chelsea trying to go for him, I can imagine most of them didn't know who Mikhailo Mudryk is. So for them to spend a combined 200 million on these two players is fucked. Like 100 million back in the day got you Gareth Bale, the best player in the world. It got you, I don't know, like Cristiano Ronaldo or whatever. It got you the best player in the world. It's now crazy that 100 million doesn't even get you like a top 10 player. It gets you like a potential.
it's an FM wonder kid.
Yeah, you're getting exactly that. You're getting FM wonder kids for 100 mil.
Yeah, the market is ridiculously inflated. However, for me, this is a good window, and
It
like
is.
whether it works out or not, on paper, this is a really good window.
Yeah,
Enzo
especially
Fernandez,
because Chelsea need a complete rebuild. They need what Arsenal have done over like 2 or 3 years. But obviously Chelsea fans have no patience, and clearly neither does the owner. So they've done it in a window. And fucking if you can do it, and if you can skirt around FFP, which I know a lot of these contracts that are like 8 years are now, it's just to skirt around FFP. If you can do it and get away with it, and that's your plan, fair
yeah,
enough,
I
do it. And
mean,
like you said, it's a good window.
don't hate the player, hate the game. For me, the names that
Precisely.
stick out, obviously, we've got Fernandez, Mudryk, João Felix, Nkunku is going to sign in the
He'll be
summer.
quality.
I think he will be maybe what their answer to that number 9 problem. They have gone a whole window. They spent a lot of money and they haven't really sorted that out. Still with the likes of Havertz playing up top there, the likes of
Yeah.
Aubameyang maybe coming in, but well, they also held on to Ziyech as well. That PSG drama unfolded.
PSG deal, yeah, yeah.
But between the likes of Mudryk and Felix, apart from Felix getting sent off on his debut, I thought he did look quite
Oh, he looked
decent.
electric, mate.
He looked a bit electric, yeah. And same with Mudryk as well against Liverpool. I thought he was a shining player for them.
Yeah.
And Enzo Fernandez is going to bring that creativity in that midfield that I think they've been lacking. So they've got Kante coming back as well from injury. It could all come together and they could have a really strong end to the season. For me, I'm gonna put it out there. I think this is a big dub.
I'll back it. Yeah, now to be fair, like you
I
said,
mean,
hate the player. No, don't hate the player, hate the game. And
yeah. If this
it,
isn't a
yeah.
dub, you take it in just the context of the transfer window itself. You look at it just on paper. Forget the context of the Premier League and where they're sat and how they've been playing. If
It
any
is a
team
big
had
dub.
this,
You'd
yeah,
be gassed.
yeah, it's a good window, and they brought in young players, but who are also going to elevate them.
Yeah.
They will walk into this first team.
Yeah,
So
100%.
for me, Chelsea,
Big
yeah,
dub.
I don't know how it turned out, but it's a big dub.
Yeah,
It's a
we
big
don't
dub
like
for me
you,
right
but
now.
that window is a big dub.
From a team who had a big dub of a window to one who I think was it Jamie Carragher came out and said they're throwing away any chance top four.
Arguably, I'd say the worst window. Maybe
Liverpool.
even worse than Everton.
The signing of Cody Gakpo is great. He's a great young talent. Was
Yeah.
electric at the World Cup, and he was scoring goals for fun for PSV. They didn't need him though. They
They
did
need
not need
centre
him.
mids
Their
so
midfield
bad.
is so dry. When you got Harvey Elliott, and I think Harvey Elliott's a good player. We said this many times. He's not a central midfielder though.
Hmm.
Thiago's fallen off. I think
Fabinho's fallen off.
Fabinho fallen off. Henderson is not it. You're light. You're light in
So
that
light.
Naby Keita doesn't play. They've got Breshkic. I can't pronounce
Yeah,
his
they're
name.
playing that. Yeah, but Bacetic, or I can't
Yeah,
don't know how you pronounce his name, but he
he
looks all right to be fair.
he
But
looks
the
all
fact
right.
that he's now your starting DM, and you're Liverpool, like behave yourself.
There's players in the world like the one who speaks to my mind is Milinkovic Savic would be ideal for this team. Someone
It's,
even maybe like Tonali as well could
there's
be
just so
unbelievable
many players out
for
there.
this
Even
team.
like yeah, like you said, you could go like players like Zaniolo. How's he's unhappy at Roma? How are you not in for players like Sabitzer, who's joined Man United, who we'll get into? The fact that he's available for a loan. What like you need centre mids. You're going into the second half of the season so light in midfield, and I'd be scared.
I believe at the beginning of the season there was it a director of not director of football, but like someone involved in their like high up in their transfer dealings went to United, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say his
Um,
surname's Edwards, but I might have pulled that out of my
yeah,
arse.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they seem to be scrambling, and this window sort of just seemed to be the opposite, where
Yeah,
they
Michael
got
Edwards. Yeah,
Gakpo,
yeah.
in, which is decent. They've had a lot of injuries, but they haven't strengthened where they need to strengthen. That
Yeah, and
midfield needs to be
big time.
totally renovated.
It's like Chelsea in the sense that they need a number 9 and they needed a midfielder, and they hadn't been doing that for ages. They'd just been buying wingers and wingers and wingers. But at least by the end of the window, they got that midfielder, and they'll get a number 9 in Nkunku when he comes in or whatever. But Liverpool have got this massive, glaring midfield problem, and they just refuse to address it. They haven't signed a centre mid that's like decent
They
level
got
since
Artur.
Thiago.
That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. No, Artur
Like
hasn't even like seen the pitch. He's been injured the whole time.
for me, it's balancing on dead window shambles. Cody Gakpo bringing him towards the dead window,
I still
but
give
for
him
me,
shambles.
it's shambles. We got both the
Big time.
Merseyside clubs in shambles at the minute.
Big time. Big shambles, mate.
Liverpool fans, let us know how does this get solved? I don't know. In eighth position, we have the boys from London. We got Brentford, mate.
Make this a quick one. Dead window.
Boys from dead window, mate. Nothing happened. That's it. I
Who
don't
they
even want
get
to talk
in?
about it.
Like a lone player in Kevin Shad.
Yeah, that's it.
Dead. Yeah, dead,
Tarek
mate.
Fossey went out to Rotherham. Sergi Canos went out to Olympiacos on loan.
But I
But
think one thing that we can say for Brentford is that obviously they're what are they? Eighth in the league.
yep,
Yeah, eighth in the league. Their squad is stacked in the right areas. They've got very good defensive cover. They've got a decent midfield. They've got Mbuemo, Ivan Tony, and Wissa up top, who are all pretty decent. So for me, they didn't need major reinforcements. So yeah, the window will put them in dead window, but I think they didn't need much anyway.
I agree with you there. We put him in dead window or shambles?
Oh, I don't know.
Dead window, I think.
Yeah, give them dead
Because I
window.
think keeping hold of, I know Tony's got his betting thing around him.
Yeah,
Keeping hold of him though, keeping hold of the likes of Mbermo,
agreed.
even
Yeah,
David Raya. You know, they're keeping hold of their important players. But yeah, moving over to another side of London, we got Fulham. Very quiet window from them as well. They brought in Sasa Lucic from Torino, and they also
decent player.
loaned Cedric Suarez from Arsenal, didn't they?
They did
Um,
indeed get him off
for
our books. He
me,
was on 100k a week at Arsenal.
that is mental.
That is disgusting that he's on 100k a week and they're covering the whole 100k.
Yeah, that's that. To be fair, I
It's
might
good
put him
for
in the dead
Arsenal.
window for me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
100%.
any team that comes up to the Premier League or you want to do survive, they are absolutely thriving.
Flying, yeah, yeah.
Literally in seventh position, which is mental, above the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, you know, and
Yeah,
established Premier League clubs like Crystal Palace.
yeah,
So
exactly that. I think like Brentford, their squad is decent as it is. They we said this in the January, not in the January, in the summer transfer window kind of thing. They had a very strong summer window, whereas Fulham used to recruit quite kind of flippantly and not really think about it too much. They just splash of cash. They had quite a good summer window, reinforced in the right areas, and so I don't think they needed to do too much in January. And I think Cedric Suarez, what that offers you is just like Premier League proven quality cover. He can play left back and right back, so that's pretty decent. And then Sasa Lukic is just depth in the forward areas, which I think is good.
we're saying nothing special?
Nothing special indeed.
Nothing special. Right, moving on. We're getting to the top six, baby. We're
Let's
moving on
go.
to Brighton and Hove Albion. You had it was a quiet window up until the Leandro Trossard things. They lost that Trossard, which is obviously a big loss for them, but their recruitment is just so good
Yeah.
that you know that Yassin Ayari is gonna just turn out to be a 80 million into
Oh,
come.
100%. Chelsea will come in for him in 2 years' time and it'll be like 180 million, yeah.
For me, this window is nothing special, bordering on dead window.
I think I'd give them
However,
nothing special because
however,
they kept Saicedo.
yeah, but for me that's interesting. That's it's all gonna play out in the next few weeks because he was
Yeah.
dropped, wasn't he? And then he came out with that weird statement being like, "Thank you
Yeah, he
for
pretty much
Brighton.
handed in a
Can't
request,
wait
yeah.
to get this record fee for them." And it's like,
Feed my family.
like you already do that sort of once you've left, mate.
Yeah.
Um, I think he thought the Arsenal thing was going to happen.
Yeah, I think so.
Brighton held their guns. I think the top deal Arsenal gave him was it 65 or 70 million?
75, I think, yeah.
75 million. Yeah, well that was like the second or third offer. Yeah. If he gets his head down, he gets back into the team, you know, goes a little right. I'll do whatever I need to do until the summer.
Yeah,
That's good. But their recruitment is so good, and like
I agree.
they don't need. For me, this is maybe a bit of a dead window. I
I'd
don't
give him
think
dead
that.
window because as good as Matoma is, and he is electric, so good, one of the best wingers in the Prem, losing Leandro Trossard is, in my opinion, quite a big loss for them. He
Mhm,
has been kind of their star man for the past 2, 3 seasons. And like we said, as Matoma is good, but to lose that kind of
that
Prem
caliber of
proven
player, yeah.
star quality, yeah, is a bit of a loss. So I'd give it a dead window.
Dead window, I agree. But what are they going to do with all this money? That they literally they got the Ben White money still. They got the Kukurea money.
Maybe they're saving for Mbappe.
Who knows? Maybe that's the get in the end game.
Yeah, come on.
Right. In fifth place, we have none other than Tottenham Hotspur, who the last minute of deadline day, lots of drama. Pedro Porro, apparently Sporting Lisbon had their ankles for a bit. Then they realised that they couldn't sign like some players because Matt Doherty was still on the cards. Jed Spence went out on loan to Rennes, which is good. Like the fact that he's looking to get some
Game
minutes under
time,
his
yeah.
belt. Brian Yule come in. A lot of fuss was made about him. He's gone out to Sevilla.
Yeah, he came in, got loaned out, then came back, got a couple more games, then got loaned out again. Which is such a weird transfer.
But I like the sign of Pedro Porro.
Yeah,
Will it
same.
work out?
Apparently, he is quality. I
I've liked
haven't
the
seen too
signing
much
of
about him, but his like stats, he's like he contributes going forward really well and is defensively super sound. So I think that's what Spurs have been lacking. They've been lacking both defensive quality and offensive quality from their fullbacks. And to get Pedro Porro in, I think is a quality move. That'll be their starting right back for years now. And I know they've got Udogi, who's out on loan. He'll come back in the summer and he'll probably be their starting left back. So I think, yeah, that's a good move. Dan Juma absolutely snaked Everton. That could have taken Everton out of the shambles window.
apparently he was like in the changing rooms, like
Yeah, I
shaking hands
heard
with
this
players
that
and
apparently
stuff.
like they filmed the video and everything. The fact that he snaked them so hard is crazy. But goal on his debut, I think he's a quality player. I'd say it's a decent window for Spurs.
Decent work.
I'd say so.
Decent work. Right, Spurs into decent work. Moving on into what are we at now? Fourth position. We've got the Red Devils. We've got Man United. Brought in Veghorst and Sabitzer, 3 loans, and Jack Butland. Obviously, Ronaldo left. What was that just before the window?
Yeah, when was that? Fucking like November. Oh yeah, it was like literally at the start of the World Cup, wasn't it? Just at the beginning of the World Cup.
There you go. So yeah, it's before the window, and Weghorst, Wout Weghorst, I think it offers him something different. Obviously, Ten Hag wanted him. They made that work, obviously, with the fact that he was at Burnley on loan
Yeah,
to Besiktas, the Abuka Bar thing as well. Yeah, it all worked out. He will bring them something different. I don't know if he is the answer, but he might be enough to see them keep a hold of a top 4 place for the
yeah,
rest of the
maybe
season and take a bit of the goal scoring load maybe off the likes of Rashford. But who knows? But yeah, for me,
nothing
the only other,
special.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's not so special. Sabitzer was only really brought in at the
I
last minute because
think
of the injury
yeah,
to Ericsson.
Sabitzer is a good signing. It saves them from being a dead window because for me, if they had not got Sabitzer in and Ericsson is out for like till May, they're literally going backwards as like a window goes. But to get that cover in, and arguably, maybe not creatively, he's better than Ericsson, but in terms of like work rate and kind of maybe what they need, a bit more grit, I'd say he's probably an upgrade on Ericsson. So I'd say it's a kind of decent move there, and I'd give them
Decent
a
work
nothing
or nothing
special.
special? Nothing
Nothing
special.
special. Yeah, it's
I
Man
agree with
United.
that.
They got to be doing more than that.
They got to be doing more than that. I agree. In third place in the Premier League, who would have thought at the beginning of the season we'd be looking at Newcastle in third
Come
place?
on, the bloody Toons, and they're into the
Andre,
final of the
yeah,
Carabao Cup.
mate, they're gonna be bringing the trophy back to St James's Park.
That's crazy.
Who knows? But yeah, a couple of outgoings in the likes of John Joe Shelby didn't really get a look in this season. Chris Wood as well. They've got the likes of Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak up front. Notable income is Anthony Gordon from Everton, and there must be something about this. There must be something
Yeah,
that I don't see
I agree.
that made Chelsea bid 60 million for him and Newcastle put in 45 in the January transfer window.
This Claire Balding looking motherfucker.
For me, it's a bit of a dead window.
I agree. I think like Newcastle doing this thing where obviously everybody knows they've got a stupid amount of money, but they're I think trying to put on this kind of like face of yeah we've got loads of money but we're gonna spend it slowly and wisely, which is fair enough. But for me, don't do a Chelsea, but kind of I don't know, get some bigger names in there. Like we've said, you're third in the Prem. You don't need to go for Anthony Gordon. You could have got that Musa Diaby that plays for Bayern Leverkusen. You could have test the waters, try and put in a bid for Rafael Leao, see how that goes. I think
So
Anthony Gordon, if I was a Newcastle fan, I'd be slightly underwhelmed.
it is underwhelming. I agree, and I think in the position they're in, they've got to be looking at thinking, right, we could really bring home Champions League football to Serie A
Exactly that,
start next
yeah.
season. That alone allows you to spend more than anything. They
Yeah,
could that like allows their wage budget up. I know they got unlimited money, but it's about how much income they get as one. The Champions League is a absolute massive influx of money. So for me, it's a bit of a dead window.
I agree.
Underwhelming with Anthony Gordon. Could be proven wrong. He could work brilliantly under Eddie Howe, but for me at the
Yeah,
minute, I'm saying dead window.
I agree.
Right, we're into the final two,
Come
and
on. Pretty
from
quiet windows for the top two, to be fair.
yeah, for me, Man City, I'm putting it out there. I'm saying it's a dead window.
I'd say maybe even shambles, but they
So
signed someone who's got the same surname as me, so I'll give them a bump on that. Maybe I'll give them dead window.
yeah, Maximo Perone, obviously one for the future. They're doing that thing where they just sign these amazing players for their academies, and look at the likes of like Brahim Diaz as well, players like that in the past.
But
Um,
we didn't even mention João Cancelo, arguably the best fullback, most versatile fullback in the world, I'd say.
mhm.
And they've let him go out on loan to Bayern Munich, which not only are they losing one of the best fullbacks in the world, but they're strengthening a Champions League rival. What's gone on there?
Yeah. So obviously, apparently, he's had a big bust up with
Yeah, it's
Pep.
got to be because if there wasn't a bust up, you just let him sit on the bench and kind of come on when you need him. But there must have been a big enough bust up that they both felt the need to get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, so who was the left back they brought in
Sergio Gomez.
Sergio Gomez? Yeah. So for me, the João Cancelo thing is obviously the main talking point of the window.
Yeah,
They've lost arguably the best and most consistent uh, fullback in the Premier League over
yeah.
the course of maybe the last few seasons.
Hmm.
Um, maybe only rival maybe by Trent in the season that
Yeah.
Liverpool won the league. But they were in sort of dire straits. They lost Zinchenko in the summer to
I was going to say,
Arsenal.
you can tell this Cancelo thing wasn't planned because if it was, they wouldn't have sold Zinchenko.
Oh, definitely. And now, obviously, Rico Lewis has come in. He's looking really good. I think Carl Walker maybe starting to see
Starting
his
to
way
wane a
out.
little bit. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah, yeah.
they are light for me. I know Akanji
Defensively,
can play
especially.
the
Yeah.
right back role a little bit. Ake's been covering that left back position. It, it's not. I don't know. For me, I don't want to say it, but it looks like Pep has sort of given up on this season a little bit,
Yeah, that's what a
which
lot. I've
is
seen a lot of Man City fans say that like the season is already over and that they would like as long as they get the Champions League, they just would rest all their good players in order to keep them fit for the Champions League, which I think is crazy.
I just think they have no reason or right to act like that because they
Yeah,
have their second string team could finish in the top four,
yeah,
and
100%.
for me, the focus for them has got to be Champions League, Champions League, Champions League.
Yeah, big time.
But in a Champions League final, can you afford to start players like Rico Lewis, Nathan Ake playing left back?
Yeah,
It's just
facts.
it's not exciting. And for me, this window's been a
Especially if
bit of
you
a
come into the
shambles.
final and Barcelona, not Barcelona, Bayern Munich have got João Cancelo playing at left back. Actually, he wouldn't even be able to play against Man City, would he? So, but I don't know.
No,
But
but
yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. It's light. Yeah, like you said, we've known Man City in this last 5, 10 years to reinforce consistently, so they never get to a stage where they're light in any position. They're always ahead of the curve in terms of like the transition of their squad. They've always got backups upon backups, but they've got to a stage now where they've actually not got backups upon backups. Like we said, in the right back and left back areas, they're a little bit light in both areas.
yeah, I'd 100% agree. I think maybe this Cancelo thing happened earlier on. They would have actually sought out a
Yeah.
replacement. It is unfortunate it happened at the stage it did, but for me, it's got to be shambles.
I'd agree.
That you look at it, they are worse off than they were
That
going into it,
yeah,
which
hundred
is
percent. Yeah, because you had
they
Cancelo, now you don't. Yeah,
that's it. Be all and end all. And rounding us off in the January transfer window is
bloody ball.
Arsenal, who potential there this January transfer window for them to have a big one, but the likes of Mudryk not working out, likes
Yeah,
of Caicedo not working out either. But I think from an outside perspective, anyway, you've got to respect them for sticking to their guns,
yeah,
and also coming into this window, I think even like prior during the World Cup, you're looking and thinking Jesus is out. They've got to get a striker, and they've got to get a striker. And
yeah,
we spoke about this till the cows come home. Eddie and Katie is blowing our socks off. So they turned around and thought, don't need
yeah.
that.
We don't need that. Exactly that.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I think the Trossard deal is a
huge.
very good deal, especially if he's willing to be a squad player. I think he might
Yeah,
help push Martinelli to perform more consistently.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and I think that was a good deal at the time. Like he is a little bit older than sort of the likes of like what Chelsea have been purchasing.
yeah.
But for 27 million for a Prem proven player,
I agree.
Brighton's probably attacking starlet. I think yeah, you can't go wrong.
I agree.
Fior, I can't say I know too much about, but apparently he's quite an impressive centre back. And Jorginho is one that sort of took everyone a bit by surprise. No one really saw it coming,
Yeah,
but maybe could bring something different to this Arsenal midfield.
yeah. I was so 50-50 on Jorginho just because like the amount of business we've done with Chelsea and like some transfers have gone okay, some haven't. Like Willian is a like bad example, but then Petr Cech's a medium example. David Luiz is just above that, and there's been good and bad. But I think what Jorginho offers is not inspiring stuff. He's not gonna dazzle you, but I think we don't need that. We don't really rely on any player specifically to dazzle. We're such a well-oiled machine under Arteta that you just want players to come in, do their work and do their work well. And I think that's what Trossard will do. I think that's what Jorginho will do. They know their roles. They know who they are as footballers. He's not one of those players that you kind of trying to discover who you are. Jorginho knows he's kind of a get the ball, receive it under pressure, pass it easy. Trossard knows he's kind of a technical, kind of attract players and create attacking opportunities kind of player. I like players in this system now that know who they are. And I think Jorginho, what will do is in games where we're dominating, he'll allow us to move the ball quickly and kind of when we're dominating and don't need to do much defensive work, he'll be fine because his defensive capabilities.
You've got a bit of a tempo man in there
Yeah,
who can
a
he
bit
can
of
take
a
the
like
sting out of a game, or he can play
100%.
that pass which ups the level. Which you think about with Arsenal is very dangerous because they're quick enough at up in that level anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
but
yeah,
yeah,
decent window.
yeah, I think that just about rounds it up for us. For Arsenal, where we saying nothing special, decent work.
I'd say decent window. I'd say we haven't got worse. We've definitely got better. Trossard, I'd say, is outstanding depth in the forward areas. And I think if we'd signed a big name like Mudryk or Caicedo, I'd give us like a big dub window. But I'd say we've kind of got a tier below those in Trossard and Jorginho. So I'd give us a decent window, decent work.
Decent work from the Arsenal boys. But yeah, that rounds up our little January window transfer tier list roundup, whatever you like to call it. Let us know what you think. Do you
If you
disagree?
change any of the teams, like where we've got a team in X spot, would you put it down or up? Let
Yeah,
us know.
let us know down below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.
We'll be
Make sure
back next
to
week with the Prem shit.
yeah, the Prem will be back. We've had the FA Cup weekend, but yeah, the Prem will be back. We'll be back with another podcast. But yeah, let us know what you think down below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow us on all our socials. Everything will be down below. We've got some targets to hit before we do the
Let's
BoreDraw Euro
go.
tour. So try push us on. We appreciate every one of you. But yeah, guys, it's been BoreDraw. Thanks for watching, and it's live.
Yeah, well, see you next time.